Evolution of 7-Up logo. Although the logo of the lemon-lime drink 7-Up has undergone several redesigns, it has preserved the concept of a diagonal motion that could be seen even in the earliest version. The logo for the famous sweet drink has always been bright and evoked a bubbly and fresh sense, just like the brand's product itself. There was nothing really complicated and special about its logo design, but it still made the 7-Up bottles stand out on the shelves of the store across the globe. 1929. The very first logo for 7-Up was created in 1929 and could be seen on the metal caps of the beverage bottles. The original name of the drink was lithiated lemon and lime soda, and this is what was written on the logo in thick white characters on a dark green background, decorated by numerous outline bubbles. This version of the badge was only active for several months until the product was renamed 7-Up 1929 to 1932. Later in 1929, the new 7-Up badge was introduced. It featured a cool, stylized 7-Up with small wings drawn in thick black contours and followed by an underlined uppercase P. All the elements of the logo were drawn in volume, turned in 3x4, which made the whole composition more dynamic and vivid. 1930 to 1931. The 7-Up logo from the beginning of the 1930s featured a circular medallion with a boldly outlined wordmark written in its top part. The small UP was decorated by a triangle pointing down to the additional lithiated lemon soda lettering. The logo stayed active for only several months. 1930. The redesign of 1930 has introduced a fully rethought version of the 7-Up badge, which looked very Art Deco-ish. It was composed of a very tall and elegant 7, decorated with many outlined bubbles in different sizes. On the left of the digit, a person with his hands stretched up was drawn in black, and on the right, the bold black UP was set in a modern and chic sans serif outline. 1931 to 1939. In 1931, the new concept for the 7-Up logo was introduced. It was the predecessor of the iconic badge we all know today. The diagonally oriented inscription in volume was set against a white background and enclosed into a square frame. The image was complemented by several bubbles drawn on its bottom part. The logo stayed in use for 8 years. 1939. The redesign of 1939 has cleaned up and strengthened all contours and shapes on the 7-Up logo, creating a modern and professional badge and slightly stretching the banner vertically with the corners rounded. The black banner got 2 white geometric lines drawn on the top and bottom parts, adding some freshness to the heavy image. 1939 to 1969. The very first logo for 7-Up was introduced in 1943 and featured a square badge with rounded angles. The body of the emblem was colored red, white. The up and bottom sides were thickened and painted in black. The wordmark was placed in the middle of the badge in white with a thick black outline, which balanced the framing. 7 white circles were placed around the inscription to represent the bubbles of the drink. 1966 to 1974. In 1966, the 7-Up badge got a new look. The enlarged uppercase lettering was drawn flat in dark green against the plain white background, with the digits separated from the letters by a small, solid red circle. It was quite a minimalistic, yet still very bright and memorable badge. 1968 to 1974. In 1968, the logo was simplified and cleaned. Now, it was just a white wordmark on a plain red background with no frames or additional graphics. A very minimalist and modern image. 1975 to 1980. The logo, used by 7-Up at the end of the 1970s, boasted the main logo type formed by numerous solid green circles in different sizes, drawn in lines, creating the contours of the digit and the letters. The first part of the badge was separated from the second by the slanted red square with the white 7-Up logo type from the previous version of the badge. 1977 to 1978. The redesign of 1977 introduced somewhat new. The brand's logo was redrawn in solid black against a plain white background with no colorful accents. But the brightness here was achieved by the shapes of the logotype's elements. The extra bold characters featured elongated tails and loops, making up a unique geometry. 1980 to 1987. In 1980, the typeface of the wordmark was refined and made sharper and more stylish. Between the numeric and text parts of the brand's name, a large red dot in a white outline appeared. This was the birth of today's famous 7-Up logo. 1987 to 1995. The logo, introduced in 1987, featured a completely new color palette. The green inscription in a double blue and white outline and a solid red dot were placed on a white background. The dot was overlapping the 7, while the UUP parts were overlapping the dot. So the logo looked like a 3-layered one. 1989 to 1995. The redesign of 1989 has straightened the direction of the inscription and simplified its style, removing the blue shadows from the composition and brightening up green and red shades. In this version, the logo was used by the brand for more than 5 years, 1995 to 2000. Another redesign was made to the 7-Up badge in 1995. The color palette remained the same, and no new elements or details were added to the composition, but the characters and a digit were stretched, with the 7i becoming super tall, and the whole logo is placed diagonally in the upright direction. The red circle got enlarged and compressed. 2000 to 2010. The green color was replaced by white in 1993. Another change was about the typeface of the logotype. It became more elegant and italicized. The serifs of the letters were small yet sharp and added an edgy and cool feeling to the emblem. 2010 to 2015. Another 3-dimensional logo was introduced in 2007. It was composed of 3 layers: a white 7 in a green and black outline on the bottom, a glossy red dot over it, and the sleek UP with slightly curved serifs on top of the structure. This logo stayed with the brand for only 3 years, but is considered to be one of the most recognizable in 7-Up history. 2015 to 2024. In 2015, the contours of the 7-Up badge were cleaned and refined, with the shades of green getting plain and dark, which created a more professional and sleek look. As for the red sphere, it is still drawn 3-dimensionally, but in deeper shades and with more gloss on the surface compared to the previous badge. 2024 to today. In 2024, the company decided to come back to a flat design, but kept the modern shapes of the elements and their disposition. The plain white 7, followed by the white up and decorated by the solid red circle, is placed against a bright green background with no gradients or outlines. Thank you for watching the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel, Tech and Stocks Info Media.